We are back on this channel. I am so happy to be back here today for a reading habits tag, and I've seen this on other channels and I just thought it looked like so much fun, so I figured we should do that today. I will put all the questions in the description box in case you want to do your own reading habits tag, and let's just get into it. The first question is, do you have a certain place at home for reading? Not really, but I do end up reading on the couch most of the time. I'm a real couch person, but then again, we don't really have a lot of space in our apartment, so we don't really have a lot of seating opportunities that are very comfortable or very loungeable, so the couch pretty much is the only place. Sometimes I'll read in bed, but it kind of depends on the book because I have a very vivid imagination, and so I can't read some things before I go to sleep. If I'm reading a mystery or a thriller, for example, I can't read that before I go to bed. So I do most of my reading on the couch and also on the balcony. We have some really comfortable chairs on the balcony and I love reading outside. Bookmark or random piece of paper? To be honest, both. I feel like I've curated a bit of a selection for bookmarks because I have a few bookmarks now that I am also emotionally attached to, so I prefer using those when I'm at home and when I have them within reach. That just makes sense to me. But up until I actually built a small collection of bookmarks that I regularly use, I always just used random pieces of paper, and I'll still do that. Like if I'm on the go or if I'm traveling and I bought a book while traveling, I don't mind, and I actually kind of like using a bus stub or ticket, anything that you would find in a book, because I think if my kids ever pick up my books, should I have kids one day, and then they look inside and they'll find like a ticket to a play from 30 years ago, I think that's a pretty cool thought. So I don't really mind using either. The next question is, can you just stop reading, or do you have to stop after a chapter, a certain amount of pages? I can't just stop reading, it's really difficult, so I don't necessarily have to wait to the end of the chapter. I prefer to stop reading at the end of a chapter, but if there's a really clear section within the chapter, then I can stop there too, but it has to be it has to be very visible. But other than that, I prefer to read to the end of the chapter, and usually I do just that. It's just the easiest. But I cannot stop just in the middle somewhere in the text, because that would just be, I don't know, it wouldn't make sense to me, and it takes me a while to get back into the story, and that would just be really, really difficult if I stopped anywhere. Do you eat or drink while reading? Yes, I do. I find it weird if you can't. I mean, it is logistically kind of difficult at times to eat or drink, but I actually really like reading when I'm eating or drinking. Usually I'll prepare my food, so I just have to use a spoon or a fork to eat, and then I'll hold the book, and then whenever I have to prepare more, for example, I will put the book down, get everything ready, so I have a good 5 minutes of reading before I have to do the whole thing again. Drinking, of course, on the side I'll have my coffee. I usually have my coffee when I'm reading, so I'm always drinking something on the side. Multitasking, music or TV while reading? TV, definitely not. So what we do sometimes my boyfriend will watch something that I don't want to watch, and then I'll read instead, but then I do have earphones on, so I don't have to listen to the TV going in the background, because I think whenever I hear dialogue in the background, I won't be able to focus on actually reading the book as easily. So that's really difficult for me. But music, yes, I actually prefer music to it being completely quiet, but I'll usually turn on some piano bar, jazzy type music. So it's real nice background music, and it just makes me feel like I can relax and just chill. But I prefer music. And TV, no, never. One book at a time or several at once? Ooh, so this is a spicy question. I used to be a one book at a time person, and now I'm starting to turn into a several books at a time person, mostly because I will mix different kinds of genres. So I'm usually not reading several fiction books at a time. I'm usually reading one nonfiction, one fiction, and then maybe a memoir. And then depending on what I feel like, I can read different things. Turned into more of a several books at a time person, but I used to be a one book at a time. And if we're talking about a certain genre, then always one book at a time. I think it would really confuse me to read several fiction books at once. I don't know. How do you do this? Reading at home or everywhere? I am so much an everywhere kind of person. I will read everywhere. And I actually prefer reading in public because I love reading while on the train, for example. I love reading on planes. So I guess I love reading in transit. I can't read in the car, unfortunately, because I get car sick, but I love listening to audiobooks when I'm in the car or when I'm driving myself. So I do love reading everywhere but home, pretty much. I mean, I also enjoy reading at home. Of course, I have to, basically, because of Corona. But if I can go to a cafe and then sit down in a comfy chair and have my little chai latte or a good cappuccino, then I absolutely love doing that too. So I guess I'm a read everywhere kind of person. Reading out loud or silently in your head. Oh, interesting. So most of the time I do read silently in my head, but mostly because it's faster. So reading out loud and reading in my head, two very different speeds. But every once in a while I do enjoy reading out loud. Mostly I force my boyfriend to listen, but when I was a teen I used to do this all the time, and my parents always thought I was on the phone and acting like I was reading out loud, and I was like, no, I'm actually not on the phone. I'm truly just reading out loud because I'm a nerd. I really like reading out loud every once in a while just to train something, and especially when I'm reading something in a different language. So when I'm reading a French book, for example, I will read it out loud just to practice my pronunciation, and I just hope that I get it right. Do you read ahead or even skip pages? Ooh, no. I don't think I could do this. So what I do, so if I really feel like I need to skip ahead, like skip pages, then I'm going to DNF the book. Then I'm going to stop reading the book and be like, you know what? No, if this isn't working for me, then obviously I have to stop reading it. But sometimes books are still worth your time and they just have some parts in it that you don't like as much, and I won't skip them, but I will speed read them. So I will drastically increase my reading speed, and I still understand the gist of what's happening when I do that, but I don't understand everything, so it's not as detailed, so I won't get the clues on like how a person is explaining this or if the dialogue changes or something. I won't notice that necessarily. I don't completely skip ahead. I don't know, if I'm not enjoying a book, if I'm not enjoying it to the point that I need to skip ahead, then I'm just not going to finish it. Breaking the spine or keeping it like new. Oh, I can't break a spine. I can't break a spine. Breaking a spine feels like killing the book to me, and I know some people say and think, yeah, but if I've read it and if I break the spine, then the book looks loved and read, and I kind of agree to that, but I can't do it. I just can't do it. Oh my god. And once a friend of mine, I gave her a book and I showed it to her, and it was a paperback, and she actually took it and she broke the spine right in front of me, and it's like, I almost cried. I can't do that. I am not a dog ear, break the spine kind of person. I occasionally will dog ear if I'm really in need and I can't find anything. Although, I don't know, you can usually find toilet paper or something to use as a bookmark. But, oh my god, breaking the spine is like, it's like breaking a child. I can't. So all the books that I own look completely new. However, I do like buying used books, so I don't mind it if I get a book where the spine is broken, because especially if it's like a really old book. For example, my 1984 edition from way before 1984, because I like the fact that it does look old, and I like the fact that it was printed before 1984. Oh no, I could never do that with a book I own. Oh my god, no. Oof. Do you write in your books? Yes, I do. So, contrary to breaking the spine, this does not feel as horrible to me. I do not mind writing in my books. Every once in a while, I'll write some annotations in them, especially if it's nonfiction. I do write a lot on the side because sometimes I'll try and put up a word or mark a page and say, hey, this was interesting here, or sometimes I'll just even put little arrows onto the page to highlight a paragraph. So I do write in my books. I don't mind at all, although I do only write with pencil. I would feel, I don't know, very uncomfortable writing in a book with a pen, especially if I'm not sure if it's going to bleed through the page. So I do prefer a pencil to anything else, but I will write in my books because this is once again one of those kid things. I think if my kids ever pick up my books and read the books too, and then look inside and see, oh cool, my mom wrote her thoughts into this book, that's a pretty cool thing. So I don't mind writing in books. So that was the reading habits tag, or at least those are all the questions that I found. Let me know your reading habits. It would be really interesting to me if you answered these questions, the same questions, like in the comments. You can like write down your questions or reply to them or something. That would be really interesting because reading habits can be so controversial. Well, I hope you had as much fun watching this video as I had making it, and I will see you soon.